we'd be invited to a big party, you know, Halloween party in somebody's house or whatever. Well, up to that point, even that day, the day of Halloween, up to the day of Halloween, for God's sake, you know, it'll be high 80s, 90s, I mean, pretty damn hot. You know, we're wearing shorts, t-shirts, whatever, you know. So we would go to this Halloween party, right? That evening, okay, and pretty damn hot during the day. So we just wear the skimpy outfit, some skimpy outfit that's really not a jacket or anything. I mean, a lot of skin showing kind of thing, you know. And so you're not really, you know, figuring it's going to get cold. And almost to the T that I can remember, I don't know how many times I froze my ass off, when I went to a party and I said, son of a gun, it's like 10 o'clock, almost 11 o'clock at night, and it's freezing ass all of a sudden. It's just almost like it flipped over. And it does that almost every year. You can count on it getting quite a bit cold. Now, don't get me wrong, that, you know, around, you know, that time in October, that not only before, but even after, for a few days, a couple days, a handful, whatever, off and on, it'll even get up in the 80s, but then all of a sudden, boom, it falls right down in the evening. But I swear, to the T, almost every year, you better bring a jacket. Is what I learned towards the end of my going out. I don't do it anymore because I'm getting too old for that party crap. But back in the day, right, you know, I finally got hip towards the end of the party times to, hey man, I better bring a little sweatshirt or something tied around my waist or something, because the last couple times, the last handful of times I went to these parties and shit, I froze my ass off right towards the end. So I bring my damn sweatshirt when I used to go the last couple times I went. Of course, I'm getting too old for this party shit, so I stay home where it's warm. Over.
Yeah, Roger, on that. Yeah, so that's normally when your weather kind of turns there a little bit, eh? You guys have had some hot weather this summer, right? Like this year. I've heard from some other people anyway.
Yeah, really be honest with you, if you're on the coastline, it's been a pretty mild summer. I mean, we've been hitting up in the 70s, mid to high 70s, a couple 80 marks. You know, a couple 80 marks, and but then if it goes towards the end of the afternoon, you know, 2, 3 o'clock, and it starts cooling back off, and we start getting this almost every day, which has really been fantastic.
Yeah.
But almost every afternoon, we get this west by northwest breeze coming from the Pacific Ocean right on the land of the coastline of California. And if it wasn't for that, it would be hot. And Santa Barbara, California, Ted, is nestled between the mountains and the ocean. We're very close to the mountains. Mountains are just right over there. You can just see them right over there. It only takes a few minutes to get to the base of the mountain and start going up the road to the top of Camino Cielo, which is as far as you can see from the west to the east, running across the coastline. And if you go over that hill, it gets hot up there and over the hill. But if you're down and then downtown and then over to the beach, okay, that's comfortable. And I want to thank Mother Nature and God for that, because otherwise, man, I'll tell you what, I know some people that moved up to San Ynez and Ojai, and man, they just complain all the time. Every time it gets around 90-something, 100 and something, they start running back down here to the beach. Over.
Yeah, wow, that sounds beautiful, man. I could handle some of that weather, you know. Sounds very, very temperate and nice.
Yeah, no, it is. It is really nice. I mean, it just makes it for a comfortable situation. You know, Mother Nature just seems to be doing a really good job coming from the Pacific Ocean. If it wasn't for that, I'm spoiled. I lived here all my life, so anytime I ever go somewhere, if I go, you know, inland a little bit, like I go motorcycle riding with my buddies, we'll go over to Ojai or something. As soon as we get about halfway up the hill, up the mountains, and get just a peek over the top and back down to Ojai, oh my God, you hit the top and bam, it just hits us like a freaking hair dryer, you know, it really just you have to pull over and take off whatever, light jacket or jacket that you have on and put it away. And then when you come back up and over, you start coming over the hill, then you start getting cold again in the late afternoon. So you got to put on your jacket again. So it's that much of a difference between just up and over the mountain, over to the other side, and over to the ocean. It's easy up, maybe 15 degrees, and it could be even, and sometimes even almost 20 degrees difference. But a 15 degree is a pretty different situation. And occasionally it will be a 20, like a shock. You come over you just pull over right away. As soon as you come over the hill and you see the ocean, and you just pull off the side of the road and put on your jacket. And that's how devastating difference it is from over the hill to being by the ocean. It's really fantastic.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I'm gonna add that to my list of places to visit, because I I gotta check that out.
You gotta do what now?
I gotta come check that out. It's on my list of places to visit.
Oh yeah, roger that. Yeah, well we used to go up to Canada quite a bit, but anytime summer came along, as soon as school got out when we were kids, we go up to Canada, up to Vancouver, and up to we take a ferry over to Nanaimo, and then go up the coast and go to another ferry over to Quadra Island. And my grandfolks had 360 acres up there, 6 cabins around the bay, a little island in the middle. We had a little cabin out in the middle. You just go out in the boat out there, a little raft that you can make from driftwood, and go out there, and we camp out there, or go back to one of the cabins around the bay. And there was a river that came down through the property. The salmon would go up the river. We'd catch salmon right out there in the bay, and right up above the river that came down in the bay through the property, there was a big lake up above, and we parked up by the lake and walked down over the mountain and down to the out to the bay there, and then walked around. And the funny thing about Canada that was really interesting was the tides. The tides are unbelievable. I mean, on low tide you could walk across the oyster shells and over across the bay and over to the cabins. But if the high tide came in, you'd have to go all the way around the trail and over through the around by the river and get through going over through the rocks and then take the trail and then go back over there, or have the aluminum boat that we had that would come up. We'd bring it up and bring it up high, and then that way we went to the store, or whatever. We just come back and hike everything in, and then motor everything over to the cabins. But man, oh man, what a way to grow up! Fishing, hiking, just having a great time, man.
Oh, man.
I'll never forget that.
Amazing.
That's pretty awesome. It's too bad my grandfather passed away and the shit hit the fan and they sold all that property. It was really fun to go there.
Yeah, right on. Sounds like you've led an amazing life there. Yeah, I love to hear you talk about that. Yeah, that's awesome. Before I lose you, I'll tell you that I got you on video here. If you want to check it out on YouTube, it's World Radio 520. Just in case I lose you here, but yeah, you got. What are you running there anyway for radio?
I'm running I'll give you the rundown real quick there. I got a Yaesu FTA40, running an EC 2018 road noise microphone extreme going into it, running a Texas Star 200 whiskey, and it's going up to a Henry 3-element modified Yagi that I designed and built. It's on a 45-foot crank-up tower, which is 25 foot off the ground at the moment. I can crank it up a bunch more. Nice. Amp 99, 1 foot up above it on the standby. The 3-element is used to have a gamma match. I took it out, heaved it, and I built a direct feed driven element and re-drilled the boom plate. So when I bolted the boom back to the boom plate, the antenna is pointed upwards and outwards 15 degrees up towards the ionosphere, pointed your way. Over.
Wow, what an amazing setup. Your audio is just fantastic. Yeah, tonight I'm just running an old Sears Road Talker 40. It's a slant face there. It's kind of a rough shape, this radio, but anyway, that's running out through a Texas Star 350. We're doing about 200 watts. And then that's going out through a little 2-element cubicle quad. It's actually a lightning antenna out of California there, Roger.
Roger, well, I have to send it right back to you, man. I'm telling you, you're 58, 59 on the peaks, and maybe a little bit more once in a while with Mother Nature comes on in. It's kind of fluctuating just a little bit. But you've been strong and steady, very strong and steady. Modulation 100%, so a really very nice sounding station there. Good old Sears Road Talker. I'll never forget it when I was a teenager and growing up, and I used to go to Sears and I'd see they had a like a shelf, and they had like 3 or 4 of their radios, the Sears Road Talkers. And man, I couldn't afford one back in those days. I was just a kid, and I really wanted one. I was a really bitch, and the ones I saw, the big mobile, really heavy, big mobile, big chassis. It had a slanted panel. They had like these little flat type of toggle switch kind of, switches for it, type of thing. The knobs had like little black little rubbers around, like little rubber, I don't know what you might want to call it, but they had a little bit of rubber around the knobs. Yeah, it's probably the one. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, that is exactly it.
That's an awesome. No, those are awesome radios, man. They don't make them like that. If you were to take a new radio and open it up next to your radio, opened up, you go, my God, where's all the parts in this new radio? And you look at your radio, it looks like the damn Amazon in there. All kinds of heavy-duty wiring and components.
Shoot.
The components are so heavy-duty.
Yeah, Roger, it's a very long radio. I guess they I don't know. I guess it was a base / mobile. It's got a power supply and everything in it, right? So yeah, it's a big heavy radio.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful radios, man. They really are. They're really nice. It's good to hear that there's still one of those radios still talking, because those radios are, man. If you think about it, I think those radios are at least, I'm gonna say 42, almost 45 years old.
Yeah, I would think so. Somewhere in there. Yeah, I got, I don't know. I got some newer radios here too, but I'm just drawn to this old stuff. I got a bunch of old stuff kicking around here, and I just like running them once in a while.
Yeah, Roger, listen, I want to correct, your name is Ted, right? Is it Ted?
Yep, that's right, Ted. Yep, Tango Echo Delta.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I wrote that down right. Yeah, Ted, well, gosh, it's really a pleasure talking with you. I tell you, I'm kind of the same way. There's a handful of radios that I used to have, old school radios that I wish I never got rid of, but, I still got a couple. I still got my 142 GTL that's all tricked out. The frequencies on my clarifier. I put the LEDs behind the dual meters, and they look really cool. I put a new channel display in it.
Sweet.
I bought it used, but it was already modified, but it didn't. The channel display was missing some segments, and a couple. I think the lights. One of the lights was out of the meter, but they weren't really lit up that green anyway. So I put LEDs in there. Just basically cleaned up the radio and put a new channel display in it. And now she's all running really good now. I put a different mic on it, and she has a good talking radio. If you can imagine and picture, what an antique solid oak roll top desk is, right? A solid oak roll top desk, a big one, right? You roll it up, and it has all the little slots and drawers there to do your work, and drawers in the front. Okay, well, I took out all the slots and drawers inside and put a shelf across it, and put 6 of my favorite radios in here. All the coaxes and all the power cords are out the back. You don't even see them. You just see the front of the radios and my 3-stage meters in the front up on top. And I tell you what, it's just, it's great. What the hell, we got a call coming in? Yeah, but anyway, what can I tell you, man? It's just, it's a go-getter. I mean, it's just a lot of fun to switch one off after 2 or 3 days of talking on it, so you don't get, more than one good radio.
Exactly.
And then you go to the next radio, and every radio I have here, I got a handful put away, but these radios that I got hooked up here, every one of them is completely different from each other. Everything works different. All the knobs are different. So I don't get tired of just one radio. I can go to one radio, go to the next one. I go, man, by the time I get around to the 6th radio, I go, okay, cool. This is the way this one works, So, yeah, it's lot of fun.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, exactly the way I feel there, Henry. Yeah, it's it's fun to play with this old stuff, and yeah, just switch it up once in a while, and you don't get tired of the stuff. So yeah. Anyway, I should let you go here. Probably I should get out of here, but I just heard you in there, and I really have appreciated the Q. So I hope to do it again with you real soon.
Yeah, we'll get back to it another time, Ted. I'm QSO out there in Ontario, Canada. Mercy sakes, been a real pleasure hooking up with you, having a QSO, and I'm glad we came on down here. First, when we first came down here, I heard a couple of turkeys coming on in there. I think they were probably the AM guys, like we were talking about, trying to jam us up, trying to squeeze us out, but they figured, oh, we're not going to get across these two guys. So they gave it up. They gave it up and bailed. But at first, I could, they were kind of interfering a little bit, but I could still hear you in there. But anyway, keep up the good work on that Sears Road Talker there, Ted, and a pleasure on this end. I wish you a good evening and happy DXing. Hope to catch you again, and we'll go ahead and talk more about different hobbies and what else we got going. How's the fishing, the motorcycling, the skiing, whatever the hell you got going there. I mean, do we have the kind of biggest snowmobile waiting in the garage ready to go? What's the deal? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, actually, I do have a snowmobile sitting in the shed, but it hasn't been out in 2 years. We just do not get the snow here anymore.
Well, something to lose you, Ted. 73rd to you, buddy. I'm a retired, by the way, I'm a retired motorcycle mechanic. I've been working on motorcycles for over 53 years since I was a teenager. And what can I tell you, man? Been there, done that. Worked on just about every kind of small engine you can think of. Haven't worked on a snowmobile, but I've worked on jet skis and stuff, and and all kinds of different motors besides motorcycles. But I had a motorcycle shop for quite a long time. Anyway, 73rd to you there, and hopefully you revamped. You either unhooked the battery and kept it on a trickle charge once in a while, and take one of the leads off so it didn't get corroded, and keep them cleaned up on the battery, and maybe put a trickle charge on it once in a while. And hopefully you drain the carburation unless it's fuel injected. If it's fuel injected, they usually hang in there a lot better because they're under pressure and it's not a breathing carburetor. When you got a breathing carburetor, you got to flush everything out and maybe run it out until it runs out of fuel, and pull the choke on it right at the very end, and shut off the fuel and just run the carburetor dry, and then just keep everything going good and keep it in a dry place, and just keep that battery up so you can hook it back up and prime it back up and put the hammer down when the snow comes in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've messed around with small engines for a lot of years now too, and yeah, I just love it. I really do. But anyway, yeah, make sure you check out yourself on YouTube here. Your audio is fantastic. You'll love it. So anyway, World Radio 520. We'll put it up there soon.
Okay, World Radio 520. You got World Radio 251. I sometimes go most of the time skip sheet or 251, but I am World Radio. When I hear another World Radio ad, I also use my World Radio. I am World Radio 251, but I'm also skip sheeter 251, a Henry 2K251. I don't use Sugar Count 251, but once in a great while. And also my international is number 2 Kilo Papa 251 Henry. But anything with 251 there, Ted, is probably old Henry out there on the West Coast. Be sure you butt on in and say hello. Nice talking with you, Ted. Happy DXing. Keep up the good work, buddy.
All right, yeah, I got I don't usually use the prefix either, but I'm a Romeo Golf 520. I'm a UDX 520. I'm World Radio 520. I'm 9 Oscar Charlie 520. So yeah, pretty much anything 520 could be me.
Well, sounds just like what you're almost a clone situation is what I got going. Is anything with 520 or 251, it's 520 is old Ted and 251 is old Henry, no matter what. So anyway, sounds really good there, Ted. You take care, man. Keep up the good work. Thanks a lot for the contact, and have a good evening.
All right, 7-3 there, buddy. It's been a real pleasure. I hope to do it again soon.
Now, what was that? I'm going to see. I don't know. I don't do computers much anymore. I mean, I don't even work with computers. I'm kind of an old school guy, and I just don't mess. I only look at YouTube's if whatever the better half put me up there that I'm interested in looking. If I see a picture, oh, I want to see what this is all about. The audio and video, I like to see that. But to actually get in there and compute in there and try to find stuff and whatever, I'm not really good at that. My spelling isn't so fantastic. It always kicks me out every time I spell something with a silent letter that's there that I don't hear or I don't remember. Just irritating. Just give you a quick example. When they teach you the alphabet in school and you know the alphabet A through Z, you know the longs and the shorts, and they tell you to sound it out, and you sound it out, and then they slap you upside the head when you spell phone the wrong way.
Yeah.
Phone, like a phone. Telephone,
yeah.
phone. What does that sound like to you? Phone. They tell you to put the E to make the O long. Phone, right? Okay, put the E at the end to make the low, that vowel to sound like a long. Phone. Okay, sound it out. Phone. F-O-N-E. And then they slap you upside the head and they tell you it's P-H-O-N-E. And I said, what the hell is P-H-O-N-E? Is that Pahone? Is that Pahone? He told me to sound it out, so I've been fighting with spelling all my life. Over.
Oh, yeah, the good old English language. I hear it's one of the hardest to learn, but anyway, yeah, there's a lot of weird things about it.
That just pisses me off. I fought with it all my life. I'm almost 68 years old in October, and to this day, I can read things I want to read, but slowly. But sometimes I get stuck and I go, what the hell is this? What are these, just tell me, just read it to me or just talk to me and tell me about it, and I'll know it and I'll do it as good as you, if not better, once I see it and you can tell me about it, okay? But if you're going to give it to me in some lecture book or something that, might be, with all, and you're going along, you're reading it pretty good, unless you're really into what you're doing. I mean, if you're really into that hobby or whatever, then you can pick up on it a lot better, right? But you're reading along with some, like, don't tell me to read a novel or even pick up a newspaper, because you're reading along, everything's good, and all of a sudden, you stop, and you go, wait a minute, what the hell's that word? And then so it screws you up. You're going there, you're stopping, you're trying to sound it out, but then there's silent letters here and there, and this, that, and the other, and you're going, what the hell? So you try to go forward, you try to go backwards, you maybe might figure it out, and it's just too irritating to me. So I just say, hey man, can you just read this to me, or if it's something that I'm not used to or whatever, I'm just totally irritated by it. That's all I can say. It really pissed me off in school that they would teach me the alphabet. They teach me to use the E to make the O long, and then they tell me to sound it out, and then they slap me upside the head and tell me that it's not F-O-N-E, it's P-H-O-N-E. And there's other words like that too. Now, if I remember it, like I know now it's P-H-O-N-E for phone, but and I'll write it down that way, and I'm pissed that I have to write it that way, but I'll write it that way. And there's a whole bunch of other words that, if I remember it, I'll put it there. If I remember there's some stupid silent letter there, you know what I'm saying? But otherwise, you're going to read my writing, it's going to be exactly the way I sound it, the way we talk. The way we speak English, I'm going to write it the way it sounds. I'm not going to write it with some stupid silent letter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. You know what? One of the smartest guys mechanically I've ever met, and he taught me a lot of stuff. He couldn't read or write any way, but that guy was so smart mechanically. He could fix anything you'd ever put in front of him. Like, it's just incredible. So, you know what? Some of the smartest people I've ever met or talked to, they didn't worry about the English language.
Well, just like me, I mean, if it's mechanical or anything that I see in front of me that maybe is not working, I study it. I've studied it for years, and I'll see how it works. I'll either fix it or make it better than it was. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just me. That's, if it's hands-on. I've always, I learned, hands-on, type of stuff. I just get into it, man. Whatever it might be, whatever hobby, whatever it is, I just get into it, man. I learn it immediately, and I see how it works. Look at all the angles. Look at everything that's going on, and then just figure it out real quick. And I don't know, Mother Nature might have done that for me, And, you know, I thank you, God, that gave me the capability of seeing things that don't work. I mean, I've worked on stuff with small engines. People go, man, I've worked on this thing. I cannot get it running. I don't know what the hell. Somebody said, you're the man. Can you check it out? And I check it out, and I go this, that, and I go here and there, and I go, well, here's your problem. And I said, oh, really? What's the problem? And, you know, I go fix the problem, and they go, how the hell did you do that? I've been working on that thing for weeks, months, trying to get this damn thing to run. And I had other friends of mine trying to get it to go, and you figured it out in 5-10 minutes. I said, well, you know, it's just what I do, man.
That's amazing. I just had that situation with an old Alice Chalmers lawnmower I was working on. I've been working on the thing, trying to get it run right for probably 2 years now. And my neighbor comes over the other night, and within 5 minutes, he's like, "This is what's wrong with it. Change that part, and it'll run." And yeah, you know what it was? It was a condenser on the points, and it ran perfect. I'd been through the carburetor. I'd changed I changed everything except that condenser. You know.
Yeah, roger that there, Ted. Yeah, somebody came in and jumped on top of you there for a moment, but I still heard you in there. I guess they don't hear us talking here first, but we're on this frequency. So many other frequencies to go to, but some of these guys are rooting through. They just try to stop right over the top, you know, because they got power. They got their buddy that's not too far away at 10S units. But I still heard you on top of them anyway. But no, I know what you're saying. As a matter of fact, that's what I learned on. When I was 9 years old, I got my first toolbox. It was a Craftsman toolbox that my mom bought me for Christmas. And I started working on our lawnmower, and the neighbors, I couldn't afford a mini bike or a go-kart or anything, but some of my neighbors had mini bikes and go-karts, and they would have problems with them. They couldn't run, or they were sputter out, or whatever it is. And I would go over there and dial it in, check it out, and I was only 9 years old, and I would come in there and look at it and start tuning and dialing the carburetor and getting it, and suddenly it's all da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and I dialed in, da-da-da-da-da-da. Whoa, they look at me like their eyes opened up and said, how did you do that? Man, this thing's been like cutting out on me and running like shit for months. I was going to take it to the mini bike shop and stuff, and I've been working on lawnmowers and edgers and you name it. You know, I was anything with a small engine, I'd jive with it, right? So I had a buddy of mine, was a neighbor, and ever since then, he would always let me, hey, Henry, you want to try my bike, man? Try my mini bike. You can ride my mini bike. Try it out. See what you think, man. So as the word got out that if people would let me ride the mini bikes or the go-karts, that I would find a problem or there's something that's not tuned right or adjusted right, a brake adjustment or a throttle linkage or something that wasn't quite right, that I was going to figure it out right away as soon as I wrote it, and I was going to adjust it for free. So that's what I did, and that's what I got away with. So that's how I learned, you know what I mean?
Oh, right on, yeah. I grew up kind of the same way. Like, I mean, I'd have to build my own crap, and then there was usually a worn-out old motor that didn't run right when I got it, so I'd have to fix that before I could have fun with it, you know? So, yeah, it's just, that's the way I learned.
Yeah, that's the way to go. Well, hands-on is really the best way. I mean, if you got some kind of feeling for something that you're into, I don't care if it's electronics or mechanical type of issue, anything. Maybe you're into building stuff with wood, like building buildings or just, furniture, whatever it might be that you're into, you just dive into it, man. If you feel like that's what you want to do and that's what you like to do it. Get into it. Start learning about it, and you're going to pick up on it so quickly because it's almost like God, Mother Nature, is steering you that way, and it's going to give you everything that, it's going to open up a whole new, and a lot of times when you do that, that's what you end up doing for your life. That's what I did. Now, I could have done two things in my life, and I kind of look back thinking, okay, because I was so excited about, motorcycles and small engines and stuff, that's what I got into, right? But I was also excited and had a lot of good times with horticulture. I took horticulture in high school.
What?
I had a little garden outside,
Oh, man.
House, I had a little garden,
Holy cow.
grow stuff. I like to mess around with the trees and, trim them really bitching and, to work with plants and ferns and everything and make them grow really nice and trim them just bitching and everything. Well, I really got into horticulture, and I also worked for a tree care business there for a while, shoreline tree care, and we used to, trim trees and what have you. And I did that a little bit too, besides the horticulture. And I kind of wish I would have done that because I would have a team. I would have a team even probably still today. I would still have a team working out there, and they'd get paid a good amount of money, but I would be making money on their money, and I'd make sure they do a clean job and everything stays good, right? But I didn't do that. I just stayed with myself and did my own shop and worked with myself, and people trusted me for their bikes because they turned out really good. But I would have probably, even though I made pretty good money doing motorcycle, I would have probably made more money if I would have had a group of because I can speak a bit of Spanish and a bit of bilingual, so I can speak a bit of Spanish, pretty good Spanish. So I could have had a group of gardeners, in different places because I know I grew up here in Santa Barbara my life, so I know everybody in Montecito and Hope Ranch, up in the Riviera, down by the ocean. I know everybody, so they would have, if I would have started way back then when I was starting the motorcycle biz, I would have all kinds of jobs, doing lawns and trimming trees and all kinds of shit. I'd have like 2 or 3 guys on every job, and I would just go around driving around, and talking to my customers and see what they needed, whatever, and just make sure that my group of people was, I tell them what needed to be done and get it done right, and be sure you keep everything clean afterwards and make sure everything's good, and so on and so forth. I would have been a lot more richer than I was working on motorcycles, I think. Over.
Well, Henry, you're not going to believe this, but I just kind of fell into the horticulture business too. I started working at a greenhouse when I was young, and I worked there for probably, I want to say, at least 10 years. And then I started into the landscaping, and I had my own business for quite a few years there. For, I guess, a couple, I wouldn't say quite a few. I had it for a few years, and then my boss I'm working for now had a really good landscaping business going, and he made me a really good offer to come be a foreman for him, and he gave me a truck to drive and everything. And I love what I do. I really do.
Well, yeah, it's a great business. I really like it. I still do it. I mean, I still work on it and do my own stuff. I do all my yard work and do all my tree trimmings and everything, and keep everything buffed out around here.
I gotta cut this video off.
I just kind of wish I kind of looked back.